Phakir Chand. Lesson 2. The king's son became inexpressibly happy in the company of the princess, who was as amiable in her disposition as she was beautiful in her person, and though the wife of the minister's son was living in the upper world, he too participated in his friend's happiness. Time thus passed merrily, when the king's son bethought himself of returning to his native country, and as it was fit that he should go with his princess in due pomp, it was determined that the minister's son should first descend from the subaqueous regions, go to the king, and bring with him attendants, horses, and elephants for the happy pair. The snake jewel was therefore had in requisition. The prince, with the jewel in hand, accompanied the minister's son to the upper world, and bidding adieu to his friend, returned to his lovely wife in the enchanted palace. Before leaving, the minister's son appointed the day and the hour when he would stand on the high embankments of the tank with horses, elephants, and attendants, and wait upon the prince and the princess, who were to join him in the upper world by means of the jewel. Leaving the minister's son to wend his way to his country and to make preparations for the return of his king's son, let us see how the happy couple in the subterranean palace were passing their time. One day, while the prince was sleeping after his noonday meal, the princess, who had never seen the upper regions, felt the desire of visiting them, and the rather as the snake jewel, which alone could give her safe conduct through the waters, was at that moment shedding its bright effulgence in the room. She took up the jewel in her hand, left the palace, and successfully reached the upper world. No mortal caught her sight. She sat on the flight of steps with which the tank was furnished for the convenience of bathers, scrubbed her body, washed her hair, disported in the waters, walked about on the water's edge, admired all the scenery around, and returned to her palace, where she found her husband still locked in the embrace of sleep. When the prince woke up, she did not tell him a word about her adventure. The following day at the same hour, when her husband was asleep, she paid a second visit to the upper world and went back unnoticed by mortal man. As success made her bold, she repeated her adventure a third time. It so chanced that on that day the son of the Raja, in whose territories the tank was situated, was out on a hunting excursion and had pitched his tent not far from the place. While his attendants were engaged in cooking their noon-day meal, the Raja's son sauntered about on the embankments of the tank, near which an old woman was gathering sticks and dried branches of trees for purposes of fuel. It was while the Raja's son and the old woman were near the tank that the princess paid her third visit to the upper world. She rose up from the waters, gazed around, and seeing a man and a woman on the banks again went down. The Raja's son caught a momentary glimpse of the princess, and so did the old woman gathering sticks. The Raja's son stood gazing on the waters. He had never seen such a beauty. She seemed to him to be one of those Devakanyas, heavenly goddesses of whom he had read in old books, and who are said now and then to favor the lower world with their visits, which, like angel visits, are few and far between. The unearthly beauty of the princess, though he had seen her only for a moment, made a deep impression on his heart and distracted his mind. He stood there like a statue for hours, gazing on the waters in the hope of seeing the lovely figure again. But in vain. The princess did not appear again. The Raja's son became mad with love. He kept muttering, "Now here, now gone. Now here, now gone." He would not leave the place till he was forcibly removed by the attendants who had now come to him. He was taken to his father's palace in a state of hopeless insanity. He spoke to nobody. He always sobbed heavily, and the only words which proceeded out of his mouth, and he was muttering them every minute, were, "Now here, now gone. Now here, now gone." The Raja's grief may well be conceived. He could not imagine what should have deranged his son's mind. The words, "now here, now gone," which ever and anon issued from his son's lips, were a mystery to him. He could not unravel their meaning, neither could the attendants throw any light on the subject. The best physicians of the country were consulted, but to no effect. The sons of Carrot-Scilapius could not ascertain the cause of the madness, far less could they cure it. To the many inquiries of the physicians, the only reply made by the Raja's son was the stereotyped words, "Now here, now gone. Now here, now gone." The Raja, distracted with grief on account of the obscuration of his son's intellects, caused a proclamation to be made in the capital by beat of drum, to the effect that, if any person could explain the cause of his son's madness and cure it, such a person would be rewarded with the hand of the Raja's daughter and with the possession of half his kingdom. The drum was beaten round most parts of the city, but no one touched it, as no one knew the cause of the madness of the Raja's son. At last an old woman touched the drum and declared that she would not only discover the cause of the madness, but cure it. This woman, who was the identical woman that was gathering sticks near the tank at the time the Raja's son lost his reason, had a crack-brained son of the name of Phakir Chand, and was in consequence called Phakir's mother, or more familiarly Phakir's mother. When the woman was brought before the Raja, the following conversation took place. "Raja, you are the woman that touched the drum. You know the cause of my son's madness?" Phakir's mother: "Yes, O incarnation of justice. I know the cause, but I will not mention it till I have cured your son." "Raja, how can I believe that you are able to cure my son when the best physicians of the land have failed?" Phakir's mother: "You need not now believe, my lord, till I have performed the cure. Many an old Oman knows secrets with which wise men are unacquainted." Raja: "Very well, let me see what you can do. In what time will you perform the cure?" Phakir's mother: "It is impossible to fix the time at present, but I will begin work immediately with your lordship's assistance." Raja: "What help do you require from me?" Phakir's mother: "Your lordship will please order a hut to be raised on the embankment of the tank where your son first caught the disease. I mean to live in that hut for a few days. And your lordship will also please order some of your servants to be in attendance at a distance of about 100 yards from the hut, so that they might be within call." Raja: "Very well, I will order that to be immediately done. Do you want anything else?" Phakir's mother: "Nothing else, my lord, in the way of preparations. But it is as well to remind your lordship of the conditions on which I undertake the cure. Your lordship has promised to give to the performer of the cure the hand of your daughter and half your kingdom. As I am a woman and cannot marry your daughter, I beg that, in case I perform the cure, my son Phakir Chand may marry your daughter and take possession ot half your kingdom." Raja: "Agreed, agreed." A temporary hut was in a few hours erected on the embankment of the tank, and Phakir's mother took up her abode in it. An outpost was also erected at some distance for servants in attendance who might be required to give help to the woman. Strict orders were given by Phakir's mother that no human being should go near the tank excepting herself. Let us leave Phakir's mother keeping watch at the tank and hasten down into the subterranean palace to see what the prince and the princess are about. After the mishap which had occurred on her last visit to the upper world, the princess had given up the idea of a fourth visit. But women generally have greater curiosity than men, and the princess of the underground palace was no exception to the general rule. One day, while her husband was asleep as usual after his noonday meal, she rushed out of the palace with the snake jewel in her hand and came to the upper world. The moment the upheaval of the waters in the middle of the tank took place, Phakir's mother, who was on the alert, concealed herself in the hut and began looking through the chinks of the matted wall. The princess, seeing no mortal near, came to the bank and sitting there began to scrub her body.